Alright, so I have been mildly busy in between episodes. Taking a look at things, you can see I've been working on a nice little pathway. It's a little bit scattered around, but that's exactly kind of the point. I wanted it to be a little messy. I've also been doing some mining with the Silk Touch pickaxe that we got I think on the very first episode, if I remember correctly. I've been actually silk touching a bunch of ores so that we can either fortune them later, or for some of these that won't duplicate their drops, like the standard stone ores, I'm actually just going to smelt them directly into their whole ingot rather than relying on RNG to take me all the way to a full ingot's worth of metal. So I'm going to go and get some of the stuff smelting. Specifically, that iron is probably the biggest thing that I'm most looking forward to. So yeah, as I was exploring, I also happened across this book right here. And so, of course, needless to say, I really want to get that applied to the Efficiency 4 Unbreaking 3 Diamond Pickaxe that we found as well. So I seem to keep on finding some of the best loot whenever I'm not recording and whenever I'm just chilling out, playing on this world, trying to gather up some resources, which is the dumbest thing ever. But that is just sort of how it is sometimes. It's hard to say kind of why it's that way. Anyways, we should probably give this a name. Let's call this one Excalibur. And so now it's got this fun text. I picked up some diamond ore that I happened to find, and so of course we've got to do the standard. Let's see how many we get with Fortune 3, because of course that's always important. We had 6, we went to 16. There we go. And now we'll be able to easily repair up this pick. Remember, there's no scaling cost, which I haven't really shown off yet, but you can see it only costs 1 level, and as I continue to maintain my gear in general, it'll continue to only cost the 1 level. As you probably noticed, I'm using a lot of my XP right now, and it's like at a point where probably should start storing it a little more efficiently so that we don't have to waste it all whenever we do simple lower level crafting or like anvil recipes and stuff. Kind of seems like a waste when you're, using 1 level at 30 something levels versus 1 level at level 1. So we can start looking into things like the experience pump and the advanced pump, but I need bottles of enchanting and I don't have any. And I also don't have any ender eyes. So we're a little ways off from that. So I'm going to spend some time fortuning up all of my deep slate ores, because remember, these will drop double after fortune. So for example, the silver ore, 1 silver ore will drop 2. That one just dropped 8. So that's why we want to do this. This is actually going to be pretty ideal. So I've been picking up a lot of deep slate ores in a couple of the caves nearby. So I'm just going to go through and process these real quick. I got to say, that's not bad. That's a pretty good inventory full of ores and resources. I am happy to see that. So we've got a bunch of other resources that I'm going to go and start smelting, because again, these, you're going to get some duplication just from fortune itself, but it's honestly much more worth it to just smelt them at face value and take what you can get. So I'm gonna go and start doing that with some of these just to see how far we can get. And in the meantime, while that does its thing, actually I'm gonna wait for that 1 silver to finish smelting. While that does its thing, I wanted to show you something else that I've been working on in between streams. So yesterday, at least as of recording this, probably almost a week ago as far as uploading goes, I've had a couple of busy days. I did a lot of cooking. And so once I was done cooking and I'd finished cooking for the week, I wanted to take a break and I wanted to just kind of sit down, listen to some records, and play Minecraft. And this pack in this world specifically has been my favorite. So I've got a ladder that goes down not too far, but decently far. If we check the altimeter that I made in between episodes, which by the way, the texture changes based on how far down you are, which I think is cool. So you can see like a little tree and then you start to get into the clouds. And if you right click on it, it'll also just tell you. But I like the visual mechanic a little more. But the precise value, 50, is where I decided to go. And I built a tunnel. And I used there's like a couple of ravines around. I really liked this one. I think I may have actually explored further that way in this one. We'll see. So I've done a whole bunch of digging through on a huge tunnel that I'm going to fill up with a minecart probably. I really like trying to do little things like this, and I think a minecart truck would be fun. I can't think of much else I could do that would be faster except for like the piston movement systems, but I don't understand pistons that well. And up here you can see it takes a turn. I won't lie, this was kind of a pain in the butt because as you can see, it's now underwater, and I thought Y level 50 would be low enough, but you can see the floor of the lake bed drops down even more, so you can see any of the cobblestone that I've placed down along here is all places where water fell through. You can see the gravel along the side. Water fell through, gravel fell through. I had to refill empty out the water, fill in the gravel with cobblestone, and then fill in the gravel at the surface level so you can't see it because I'm real piggy like that. But this is going somewhere, I promise. And you probably already can approximately guess. It's somewhere that we're going to be going a whole lot very, very, very soon. And so I wanted to go ahead and get this going now rather than later. There we go. Now we can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Took long enough. And yeah, this just spits us out right here at the tower with the 5 different skeleton spawners in it. I thought this would be useful. I think it will continue to be useful. Again, this is somewhere we're going to go a whole lot. Of course, we're going to need to clear this out quite a bit because there's a bunch of junk in the way. But yeah, we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 skeleton spawners. So we can just kind of put them all, they're really close together, so we can put them funnel them all into one single chamber. And I think that's going to be just honestly the most beautiful thing ever to exist. So speaking of magic, I've got more ore processing still, but let's get into it. I really need to start diving into the Eidolon mod, and it's taken us long enough to do that. So let's get into some pewter blend. Pewter blend is not too terribly difficult to make. It's going to require some tin ingots, which I've got smelting up right now. It's going to require some lead nuggets, and it's going to require some clay, because we need to create a little blend. Right, other way around. We need to create a blend that will allow us to sort of, in some sense, alloy this all together, because both pewter is an alloy of both tin and lead, and both of those are particularly soft. They're not the softest materials, but they're pretty malleable. So using a substrate like clay to kind of help them keep together should work in our favor particularly well. So we're going to go ahead and smelt this up. And as that smelts, we're going to get pewter ingots. And these pewter ingots are very useful in a handful of places. So checking the quest book, we should also try to get ourselves some enchanted ash, which we can make in the blast furnace as well, out of bones. Got quite a few, so we'll go ahead and make, I guess, quite a few. I'm trying to get through all these saplings that I have, because I have way too many of them, so that should help. There we go. So that gets us 16 pewter. We will probably end up needing more, but I'm not 100% sure. So this is that enchanted ash. And now that we've unlocked that, we get a couple of levels of XP, which I'm going to start saving these because I don't know if or when I'm going to die, and I don't want to find out when it's too late. So next up, we're going to want to make ourselves a crucible. So we can go ahead and grab one of those real quick. This is just going to be a slightly advanced sort of cauldron, I guess, really. And one thing I'm curious about, I know the quest recommends using flint and steel, and I realized last night as I was sitting here playing, I don't know for sure, but I wonder if you can use a campfire, and I'm not 100% sure. I should also probably integrate a infinite water supply somewhere decently nearby. I was going to do here, but I don't think that's maybe my best idea. Let's get these furnaces out of the way because I don't think I'm going to need them immediately, and I can always just sort of like stack them up like that, kind of out the way more or less. And then we can always just tuck an infinite water source here in the corner. I know we have one right outside, but it'd be helpful to not have to go outside each and every time we use our cauldron. And I'm going to get a little trapdoor of some sort to cover that up. Sure, let's go with just a standard oak trapdoor. And so now we don't fall in it, but if we ever need water, it's right there. So let's see if this works. Will you come to a boil? I think you probably will, but I'm not sure. Yep, there we go. I was hopeful that you would. That's great. I'm glad to see that, because now we can do all this stuff inside, and I think it'll be nice and cozy. I've actually only ever done Eidolon stuff outdoors because of the fire requirement, and it just, this is a lot cozier. I like this a lot more. Okay, so now that we've got that, we also get another rack as a quest reward, just in case we need it for that fire source. I'm going to go with the campfire. I think that's going to be the better way of doing that. So we will just keep with that for now. Let's see. We can get ourselves a magical workbench at this point using some of the pewter inlays, and we're going to need some purple dye. And that pewter inlay is crafted just like so. Very simple recipe. So we can put these together, and that's going to get us one magic workbench. These are really pretty, and they're also very, very functional. So this is just a normal crafting table. You can use it like a normal crafting table, except it also has these additional 4 slots, and it lacks JEI support. So I'm still going to use a normal crafting table for now, but these are a nice little exception for occasional crafting and things that you're going to need. And starting off from here, we start to get into some of the more kind of occult and interesting practices, really. So we're going to want to get a straw effigy and a wooden altar. So let's go ahead and get those going. The wooden altar is not nearly that bad. And since it does not matter what we use, I think we can use the saw to do that. Yeah, there we go. So we'll get, I like these altars. They look really good as like tables and stuff. So while it's supposed to be an altar, I'm definitely going to use it for other things as well. And you know what? We're going to put it right here, and I'm going to make it just like a little 3-block wide altar. It doesn't have to be particularly big. And then we need a straw effigy. As you can imagine, it's just made of mostly hay or wheat. This is a very primitive effigy, but this gives us something to pray to. And so we can choose which mystical sign we use. And I'm going to go the light route this time. So this is the sacred sign instead of the wicked sign. I've done both in the past, and you can switch between the two at any point. This is something that wasn't ever really made particularly clear to me as I was playing my first time around. But yeah, the chants can basically be run once every now and then, but not for too much longer than that. So I think it's once every day. So we seem to have a small little altar where we can pray. We can also make our little setup a little better using the skeleton skulls. So that's just going to kind of help us out. I'm actually going to move my effigy to the center for now because it is an effigy after all. We should be praising it properly. And this leaves us needing a couple of things at this point. So we're getting into our rituals, we're getting into soul shards, and we're going to get into some botany. So let's start out with an athame. The athames are, I think, yeah, they're pretty straightforward to make. Not too terribly bad to make. So we're going to need, of course, a silver nugget, a gold nugget, pewter inlay, and an ender pearl. So that gets us an athame. Unlike a lot of previous mods, I'm sure you're thinking athame is good for like decapitating and is great for a lot of old mods, especially looking at Red Power, made it so that you could get like more ender pearls and a guaranteed ender pearl when using it. That's not at all how this guy works. This guy works a little differently. And so what you'll do is you'll find it and use it on various different plants and plant matter. So that's why we have this different quest lines. So ferns, some white flowers. There's all sorts of different things that you can use them on. I'm going to go run around and see if I can find any of these. I'm not 100% sure where a lot of these are going to be located. At this point, I don't think I found any lily pads. So that'll be slightly troublesome, but I guess that means it's exploration time. All right, so we've got ferns. There we go. As we use this by right-clicking, we will eventually get these different sprigs. There's all sorts of different things you're going to get. So we obviously will want the Miramar root, Sildren seeds, flowering awana, and the Illward saplings are going to be from a specific tree. So I'm curious to see if we can find that tree while we're out and about. Usually they're found in dark oak forests, and I haven't seen one in a while, or I don't think at all yet. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that goes. So when it comes to white flowers, I'm pretty sure any of these guys will work. There we go. So that gets us the Miramar root. So that shows that you don't specifically need the Lily of the Valley. Any white flower should do the job. All right, so it seems like I found an Illward tree and some trouble. They're not really used for a whole bunch, but they're really pretty. They have a decently good looking log and plank, but specifically we are here for the saplings. And then yeah, the logs themselves are not really used for all that much specific to Eidolon itself, but they are pretty cool looking nonetheless. So that's pretty good. I know what that is. I actually did not notice this. So I've been exploring for about an hour now, and we found some fun stuff along the way. Not that much, but I finally found a jungle. So I'm not only going to absolutely harvest the crap out of the saplings, but I'm also going to make sure that I get my athame on at least one of these trees. As long as I get a sapling, I don't really care. Yep, okay, one jungle sapling. I might try to get one more, but we'll see. We've got some jungle leaves. There we go. So that got us a Sildren seed. Can't say that I expected that. This is actually not too far from the jungle that I was just at. For some reason, I had to sneak right-click on these guys. I wonder what that's about. Oh, you know, I wonder if it's because of the ability to place stuff on lily pads. I'm betting that's going to be it. There we go. A second flowering awana is enough for me, and I think that completes the quest. So let's head back home. You know, maybe now would not be a bad time to use a waystone now that I think of it. Oh yeah, that's actually one of the better dungeon, or Young's better jungle temples. So that would be a fun place to set a waystone for. And to go home is going to cost 3 levels. Not bad. Yeah, I mean, when you're 5,000, almost 6,000 blocks away, that's when the cost starts to reduce pretty greatly. And so now these guys can be planted in either a special planter or you can just use a standard one. And I think, or rather just standard tilling works if I remember correctly. I want to confirm something though. I don't remember if these can be bone mealed or not. I've got some water sources over here, so if I do this, yeah, that works. Didn't get me anything extra, so I wonder if fortune will help. Oh yeah, that definitely helped, at least that time. Okay, so we're back. We've cleaned everything up. We've got everything organized. It's been a bit since we've done our chant. Nice. So that helps us fill up a couple more bits and bobs. Taking a look now, we need to do some ritual stuff. So let's get a brazier and a pair of stone hands bookmarked and ready. As you can imagine, this is about as straightforward as it gets. Stone hands are in fact just made of stone. I think I'm just going to go grab some silk touched stone rather than crafting it. All right, so now we can make 2 stone hands like so. And we need a brazier, which is 3 pewter, a block of coal, I believe, right? And 2 sticks. There we go. Last thing we need is 2 pieces of redstone. I'm going to grab a whole bunch of redstone and some bone meal. And we're going to need that flint and steel, which I have not gotten one yet. So we'll just craft one real quick. Not only is that a quest completed, but now we can go do the thing. So I am prepared with some water, but we need to get ourselves started with the automation, mild automation, mind you, but some automation of that skeleton spawner setup that I found, because I think that'll be perfect. Okay, so I'm just wrapping up this excavation project. You can see we've got the front door here. I've tried to seal everything in as far as lightness goes, making sure that it's completely solid inside. And we've got a couple of straggler torches and stuff that I still need to clean up. That guy over there might activate. It might be just bright enough for it to do that. So let's give that a torch. And so yeah, there's still a good bit that we need to sort out for this. I want this to be deep enough that mobs can fall in. And then I need to figure out the water flow part, which shouldn't be that bad. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's perfect. So then based on everything that I can remember, actually I want you there and there so that we have a infinite water source. That's going to push everything here. And then we can push everything down a couple of blocks. And let's see, try to get them to go into the center here. Or do, you know, I tend to run into funneling issues when I do it this way. I may try to get it to go just straight off to the end here. And then we can just use, I've been cleaning up the interior here, so we can just use slabs to attack. And then we just need some sort of exit. So if I dig this way, we should eventually see, yay, look at that. We are outside. That is perfect. And then I think our ladder, yeah, is right here. So that's going to be just absolutely ideal. So what we can do is make a little pathway over to this guy that makes it a little easier to follow. I'll clean this all up, of course, because that is just a mess. That looks super, super tacky and super bad. So now it's just a matter of coming around to the front door, breaking all those torches, and we should be good from there. This is where things get a little bit risky, but, you know, whatever. I'm also going to go ahead and block this part off here just to make sure that I don't fall in there because I don't want to deal with that. I'm also going to use some blocks to prevent skeletons from just kind of spawning in the middle of the air because I don't want that either. And I don't want them falling down and then just landing on top of one of these spawners. That would be unfortunate. And of course now we're going to start running into mob troubles, but that's kind of what I expected, to be honest. Uh-oh. Well, that's my first death. This may be just a tiny bit too effective. Okay, only a handful of deaths later. And we finally have everything sorted. I really thought my armor would hold up to that better, but it most certainly did not, which is kind of a shame, but whatever. And so now, after some creeping and crawling around, you can see that that's all working pretty well. And all that's left is to come down here, pick up a whole bunch of things that I've been missing, and let's do our very first ritual with a whole bunch of skeletons. So to do this ritual, you're going to need 2 stone hands. I'm actually going to put them kind of a little bit off-centered like that. And then we're going to put our brazier there, and we're going to need 2 redstone dust and some bone meal. And then we need to light this bone meal with a torch, or with a flint and steel. And that's going to kill every last one of those guys and give us a whole bunch of soul shards. We just started off with 56 soul shards for our first go around, which is incredibly large, all things considered. Now I'm going to come over here and fix this water. All right, so you know what? I think that's plenty of soul shards for now. That does also get us another quest, which is good because I died and lost all my XP. No surprises there. I told you it was going to happen eventually. I didn't realize how rough that many skeletons would be on my armor and on myself, but it definitely didn't go as well as I had planned out in my head. Doesn't help that none of my stuff is protection or projectile protection. It's just fire protection. So I'm good for the nether, but not much else. All right, so you may be wondering what the heck all these new materials I picked up are even good for. Why did I want to make a skeleton spawner of that scale? And why did I bother with half of the stuff that I bothered with in that case? I'm going to clean this backpack up later, by the way. This is a nightmare. The reason that we did a lot of these things, and moss is exciting, but anyways, the reason we did a lot of these things are, as we can see in the quests themselves, not only do we get some soul shards and some XP nuggets that I forgot about, but we can get into arcane gold. So arcane gold is very important. As we dive into this, arcane gold is going to be sort of a critical crafting component for a handful of different things throughout the pack, especially when it comes to blood magic. You're going to use a lot of it, but there's also a good bit to see here, including this guy right here that I'm very excited to get into as soon as possible. So, arcane gold, let's get into it. And to make arcane gold, you're going to need a crucible, and we already have one. And I need to fill up some water buckets just in case. And then we're going to need some gold and some redstone and some of these soul shards. So, what we need to do is follow this order that they have laid out here. So step 1 is 2 redstone dust and 1 soul shard. And you know what? I'm going to try to, this is how I like to do this. So I'm going to try to keep with that system. So let's see, 2 redstone dust and 1 soul shard. And then I'm going to put that in there. Step 2 is 2 gold ingots. So to do these, all you do is just throw your first 2 ingredients together, wait for it to boil. Now that it's boiled, we just toss in our gold. And now you've got arcane gold. So we're just going to repeat this a whole bunch of times and keep going from there once we get all this arcane gold. There should be 18 arcane gold all said and done. All right, so with that all said and done, there's a couple of things that I want to craft. You can make a chalice or goblet right away, and these are great little additions to your altar. So these are going to increase your altar's, not really power, but your altar's like effectiveness and potency. So there's a lot of things, including the straw effigy and the wooden altar, that make it so that this isn't necessarily the best altar that you can get, and there are certainly some upgrades out there that you're going to want to try to aim for. Now, right now, the very thing that I'm looking for is the ability to make the soul enchanter. So we need a book. We're going to need a pair of these guys, the rose gold inlays, or arcane gold inlays. We need a book. We're going to need some obsidian, and we've got the diamonds already. It's a pretty familiar recipe, all said and done. And that gets us a soul enchanter, and that's a huge deal for us because this is basically a better enchantment table than anything in vanilla was ever going to get us. So I love these. These are great. These are part of the reason why vanilla enchanting does not exist. If you look at the recipes for this, there should be, or there's no other variant for it, and there's no enchantment table in the game. And if you get one, it doesn't do anything. The soul enchanter is this pack's only way of enchanting, but you'll see why in just a moment. So we've got this sword. This is a Bane of Arthropods 4 sword. That's not very good. I don't really care for Bane of Arthropods 4. I think I could probably do better. I also don't think I really need those. So I'm going to grab one of our grindstones from in here, and we're going to undo this. Of course, that gets me some XP, but who cares? Now I'm going to enchant in here, and as we can see, we get knockback, smite. Oh, wow, those actually are really bad. All right, well, the fire protection leggings are next then. How about you? Unbreaking and thorns. Okay, so now we're going to just click on Unbreaking 1. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, what an idiot. This guy's not even using any bookshelves. You don't need bookshelves. They don't do anything for the Soul Enchanter, which is part of why I really like it. It's a lot more mobile this way, but you're going to see something else that's really interesting about this guy. So, okay, You look at the screen, you see Unbreaking 1. That's a really crap enchant to try to go with. All of these are level 1. Why would you bother? You can keep enchanting after you enchant one time. I've enchanted once and that's Unbreaking, but look, now I get a whole new set of enchantments. So I'm going to go with Protection. And now level 2 Unbreaking is available at 2 levels of XP. And level 2 of Protection is available. Level 3 of Protection, level 3 of Unbreaking, level 4 of Protection. And just like that, using 16 levels of XP, unfortunately, but that's okay because we have the skeletons to get more XP from, we have enchanted our leggings perfectly. This is the perfect enchant for me. I don't care for thorns, but you could go for thorns if you wanted to. Now we have some of the best enchantments that we could possibly ask for. Now looking here, Unbreaking's not bad. I'm out of XP though, so let's grab these crystals that I've been saving. Almost like I've been doing that for a reason. Can't remember. If you do, yeah, it consumes the whole stack. What if you sneak? Does that make a difference? Yes, it only does the one. Cool. Good to know. So if you sneak, right click on these guys, you won't consume the entire stack. So let's see. We've got Unbreaking. Okay, sure. And then we have Unbreaking 2. And now we have Sharpness. See, this is what I really wanted, was a good Sharpness and Looting and Unbreaking sword. And now we have it. And as you get into enchantments that are incompatible with your base enchantments that you have here, they will stop showing up. And this is why this enchantment system is so much cooler to me. Now, these are all pretty unfortunate enchantments, so we're going to skip over that. I don't really have anything else that I desperately want enchanted. I really like the respiration on the helmet, so I'm going to leave that for now. But that's this entire system in a nutshell. So what I'm going to do, hang on, do we have Sweeping Edge? Because that could be really useful. We do have Sweeping Edge. I'm actually going to take that. That'll be really useful for the skeletons, because I'm going to use them quite a bit. And I'm going to need more of these guys. So we had Sweeping Edge 2, and then 3 levels. We're not going to have enough. Okay, well, what's fun is we can just take this with us over to the XP grinder that we've now basically created, and we can just slash away with our Sweeping Edge 2 Sharpness 2 sword, and that's going to be a lot easier for us. Okay, so let's keep going at the enchanting train, because this is fun. So we'll do Sweeping Edge 3, Sharpness 4, and then we just need a few more levels for Sharpness 5. You can see how this kind of becomes addicting, right? The gameplay loop here at this point is very enjoyable because you just end up with this like very nice combination and flow of like enchantments and stuff. And it makes all your tools pretty easily replaceable if you ever lose them or break them for whatever reason. So I would say, based on this chest's contents, we're doing really well. This is very, very successful. I also found these boots. These are pretty good looking boots. Not the best. I can definitely do better. So that prompted me to think maybe we should go try to do better. And on the note of doing better, I do think this is something that should be prioritized pretty high up there, because there's a bunch of stuff that you get improvements from if you level up your altar. So I'm going to make these improved stone altars. You know what? Let's go ahead and do another while we wait. Unlocked flame sign. That's fun. See, the flame sign is the symbol of the flames that cleanses and purifies, but also destroys and consumes in its fury. As the flame sign is used in chants, it calls forth the ability to manipulate the element of fire. Does that give us any new theurgy? No, not yet. Okay, soon enough. This, and that. And that gets us some stone altars. So let's replace our wooden altar here and make it a little bigger. I know this is starting to get a little bit cramped, but it's meant to be more on the cozy side than anything else. And we can add to this, right? So one thing that I'd love to look into is one of these magic candles. Specifically, a magic candle stick will be even better. But to make the magic candle, we're going to need some tallow. Easy enough, to be honest with you. I don't have any other important uses for rotten flesh. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of it in the first place. All right, and so now, in order to get the Magician's Wax, we need Calx of End, which is not that bad. It's an Ender Pearl, and I think I put it in here. 1 Enchanted Ash, right? So we need Calx of End, Enchanted Ash. Cool. Easy enough. Now with the Calx of End, we need a couple of things. So let's go ahead and get the inventory arranged so that it's easy to craft. We're going to need 4 redstone, 2 red dye, and then our 2 tallow, and then it needs 2 stirs. So the way this will work with a more complicated recipe like this is as follows. I should have refilled this and let that get to boiling beforehand. That was stupid. So we're going to throw our Calx of End in, right? So following this recipe exactly as it is. Calx of End goes in. That will boil down. Now it's gone. Now we throw in the redstone and the rose, or the red dye. Now we throw in our 2 tallow and give it 2 stirs. And there we go. That's the magician's wax that I was wanting. And with that magician's wax, now we can create candles. So let's grab that, and we'll grab a nugget as well. And we will do magician's candle. By the way, the place where I got this information, if you're wondering where like I'm learning these things, let's see, altars. Here we go. So there's a documentation on altars, and then the goblet and altar herbs talk about things that will improve. And then altar lighting also talks about this extra power that you'll get. And so improving the power is going to help you out pretty drastically as you go about your business, because we can use the improved altar power to improve our the functionality of some of our spells that we do here at this table. So let's see. We have the stone altar. While a wooden altar is sufficient for basic rites, to perform more powerful magic, a stone altar is necessary. Stone altars have the same characteristics and may be upgraded the same as wooden ones, but enable more powerful rites to be performed. Altar herbs. Uncommon flora and fungi are able to enhance the altar when potted and placed atop it. As per usual, if multiple herbs are placed, only the highest power. So yeah, only the highest power thing is going to help here. This is where you learn about some of these higher powers, trying to share your book with others to learn about new mechanisms. And then, yeah, I think we're going to end up needing a censer before long. We'll get to that, though. And the offering incense. Cool. So we've got some diamonds. We've got some pretty meh tools. I think it would be a good idea to start upgrading our tools and our gear a little bit. I'm going to start off with a chest plate and some boots and get all of this stuff enchanted and just seeing how we can improve our gear, because this is kind of meh. So let's see. Chest plate offers protection and unbreaking. Perfect. Depth Strider is not bad, actually. And then protection and unbreaking. And feather falling. And a surprise to absolutely no one, we are already out of levels. And as nice as these are, they're not that helpful. So I'm going to go ahead. Curse of Vanishing is not ideal. So what we can do, one thing that is in this pack that is kind of an interesting mechanism, is you can destroy with TNT any of your gear that you don't really need. So let's craft up some TNT. You can absolutely do this explosion in some water if you'd like, which is what I'm going to do. And then the way that I like to do this, we're far enough away that you shouldn't be affected, is just go ahead and throw all of the things in here, put your TNT down, ignite it, and boom. So there is always a chance that you won't get anything back. There's actually a pretty good chance of that. So you can see there's a 50% rate of not getting your thing back, and it's pretty much always 50%. So this is not the best way of getting like diamonds and stuff, but if you happen across some loot that you don't really need, something that you're like, oh, well, this is cool, but I don't need these diamonds anymore, you can at least mildly recycle them, which is better than nothing. One other thing I'd like to do, let me grab these diamonds. I'd like to make a new Silk Touch pickaxe, a better one. I'm going to keep my existing one around for now, but once it breaks, I'm just going to let it. And we've got these guys over here, and we can always just keep leveling up our current gear set until we get what we're looking for. Silk Touch, there we go. And unbreaking. And you know, as I'm running, one mistake that I made that goblet. We don't need that goblet. The goblet we'll probably use because I will probably change paths from light magic to dark magic. It's kind of fun to do both. I really want light magic first because there's a special item that we'll be able to get that is a huge quality of life change early game. And it's not one that I'll use a lot because it works very specifically, but there's one thing that it's not documented in the quest pack too much, and it's very, very nice. So since I kind of consider this Let's Play also like the guide, a secondary guide to supplement the quest book, it kind of feels important to me to cover how to do that. By the way, don't mind the fact that my skin's kind of broken right now. This is one of the default skins at the current generation. The skin servers are down as I'm playing as we speak. So, yeah, the thing that I'm looking for right now is the Raven's Cloak, and that's going to require specifically a couple of things kind of later down the line. The gravity belt and stuff, all of this is pretty, actually, like, not terrible. The phantom membranes are going to be one of our bigger problems, but we can definitely get a hold of those. There's also a couple of things that the light symbol, this guy here, holy symbol, can get you, and that's the Bone Paladin gear. And the Bone Paladin gear is sick. As you can tell, we're in full diamond right now, and it's still saying that like the helmet is going to be even better than what we have now. And it looks really cool too. So I'd really like to get into that if I can. So I think what I'm going to do is just spend some time grinding with the nice new weaponry we have and start trying to level up our gear even more using the Enchanter. The Soul Enchanter is a huge lifesaver, and I think if we just AFK here for a little bit and fight as we go, we should be good to go. So yeah, we'll get our gear leveled up for next time, and then we'll be able to have a lot of fun with additional trouble, I guess you could say.